Welcome back to Limitless Mentality, where we discuss profound psychological truths to help you improve your life. Today we're diving into a frustrating question we've all asked ourselves at some point. Why do I keep making dumb choices, even when I know better? Whether it's texting someone we swore we'd block, spending money we meant to save, or procrastinating on goals we care about, it feels like our brains betray us in the moment. But the truth is, these bad decisions aren't random. There are deep psychological patterns behind them, and once you understand them, you can finally break free. One of the biggest reasons we keep making the same bad choices is because our brain is wired to chase rewards, even when those rewards are short-term and self-sabotaging. Think about eating junk food when you're stressed. You know it's not good for you. But the momentary comfort tells your brain, hey, this works. So it remembers that feeling and makes you crave it next time you feel overwhelmed. Every time you repeat the behavior, you strengthen that loop. Over time, you're not consciously choosing the wrong thing. It's just what your brain sees as the fastest way to feel okay. The scary part? You can end up reinforcing habits you hate just because they temporarily ease discomfort. That's why real change starts with noticing what you're rewarding and why. You might want to do better, but deep down, you might not fully believe you're the kind of person who can. If you still think of yourself as lazy or bad with money or not disciplined, then your actions will keep falling in line with that old story. It's like your decisions are trying to match who you think you are, not who you're trying to become. And that disconnect is why your goals don't stick. Until you update the identity behind your choices, you'll keep sabotaging your progress, even when you're aware of it. Real transformation isn't just about willpower. It's about seeing yourself differently and making decisions from that new version of you. Most of your daily actions are not conscious decisions. They're habits, patterns, scripts your brain runs on repeat. That means even a dumb choice might not feel like a decision at all. It's just what you've always done. For example, checking your phone first thing in the morning. You don't think, is this the best use of my time? You just do it. The more we rely on autopilot, the less space we leave for conscious choice. And when that default setting is wired for distraction, fear, or comfort, we keep making choices that don't align with what we actually want. Changing this starts by slowing down, interrupting the pattern, asking yourself, is this choice helping me become who I want to be, or just keeping me comfortable? You might know what the smart decision is, but if you're overwhelmed, anxious, or angry, logic often takes a backseat. That's because strong emotions trigger your amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for survival. When it's activated, your brain shifts into fight or flight mode. And in that state, long-term thinking goes offline. You're not focused on your future self. You're focused on escape, relief, or control. That's why you might blow up in a conversation, even when you plan to stay calm. Or binge-watch Netflix the night before a big deadline. It's not that you're stupid. It's that your emotional brain took the wheel. The key is learning how to pause and regulate before you react. That space between the emotion and the action is where wisdom lives. It sounds harsh, but it's true. Your brain is designed to conserve energy, not make perfect choices. Decision fatigue is real. The more decisions you make throughout the day, the harder it becomes to make thoughtful ones. That's why you might make great choices in the morning, then completely blow it by evening. Your willpower is a limited resource. And when you're tired, stressed, or sleep-deprived, your brain takes shortcuts. It falls back on impulses. That's when just one cookie turns into a whole pack, or 5 more minutes on TikTok turns into an hour. It's not about discipline. It's about strategy. Set up your environment and routines so the good choice becomes the easy one. Every bad decision is meeting a real need in a dysfunctional way. If you keep procrastinating, maybe it's not about laziness. Maybe it's about fear of failure or a need for control. If you keep dating toxic people, maybe part of you craves intensity because it makes you feel alive. When you don't understand the need underneath your behavior, you can't actually fix it. You just try to force better choices, and eventually, you fall back into the old ones. But when you meet that root need in a healthy way, like finding safe ways to feel excitement or learning how to calm your anxiety, you stop depending on destructive habits to cope. And suddenly, those dumb decisions don't even appeal to you anymore. As strange as it sounds, some part of you might be used to chaos. Maybe you grew up in an environment where things always went wrong, or you learned to associate struggle with being strong or worthy. So now, when things start going well, you unconsciously sabotage them. You pick fights, you procrastinate, you create drama, not because you want to, but because it feels familiar, safe, like home. This is one of the most subtle traps, because on the surface, it looks like you're just making dumb choices. But deep down, your nervous system is seeking the comfort of what it's always known. The way out is learning to feel safe, in calm. To build a new normal that isn't based on suffering. Your brain doesn't care if something is good for you. It only cares if it feels familiar. That's why you might keep going back to people, habits, or patterns that clearly hurt you. Because your subconscious associates familiar with safe. And the unknown, even if it's better, feels threatening. That's why change is so hard. It's not just about doing something different. It's about learning to sit with discomfort long enough to let your brain realize you're still okay. Real growth happens when you stop chasing comfort and start leaning into what actually supports your healing. Motivation is great when it's there, but it's also unreliable. Some days you feel inspired, and other days you don't. If your good choices depend on how motivated you feel, they won't last. What actually works is creating systems, habits, triggers, environments that make the right choice automatic. For example, putting your phone in another room when you're working, or setting out your gym clothes the night before. These small shifts remove the need to decide in the moment and protect you from your own excuses. Because, let's be honest, the version of you that's tired and stressed is never going to feel like it. But if you make the good choice easier than the bad one, even your worst days can stay on track. Sometimes we keep making bad choices because deep down, we don't think we deserve better. We're still carrying shame from old mistakes, still punishing ourselves without realizing it. So we settle, we sabotage. We act in ways that match how we feel about ourselves, not what we know is possible. This is where healing matters. You can't outwork self-hate. You can't build a better life while dragging around guilt like a ball and chain. If you want to make better choices, start by forgiving the version of you who didn't know better, who was just trying to survive. When you stop defining yourself by your worst moments, you finally free yourself to live in your best ones. The truth is, We don't make dumb choices because we're broken. We make them because we're human. But once you start understanding the patterns underneath those decisions, you stop feeling helpless and start feeling powerful. Change doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with awareness, compassion, and the courage to do something different next time, even if it's messy. Which one of these points felt most true for you? And what's one decision you're ready to start making differently from now on? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more eye-opening insights. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, and stay limitless.